Hey all, another war video here, another giant rank 4 in an annoying spot. It's kind of how this map goes now. Here we have a rank 4 Serpent on power efficiency with hazard shift, rupture, bleed. This is a tough one. Purgatory is one of the options simply because she has access to any of the immunities, but it requires you to bring Hood for the bleed immunity, and it makes it significantly harder for you to use the rest of your kit and keep tempo up because those ruptures are brutal. And if you get even one of them on you, it ticks for quite a bit because of that initial fury that Serpent gets, but then even if you get rid of that, it hurts a lot just because between those ruptures and the fear debuff he puts on you, he almost always has access to that blood in the water fury, which hurts, as we saw right there. So still have the rupture here. Unfortunately, getting those ruptures on us did a ton of damage, is really ticking away at us. I think it was worth it with where things were, but yeah, you can just see the block damage, the everything damage in this fight is a problem. And you can see here, I realize how much I'm taking from just a combo in the corner. I know I don't really have a way to get out of it. I don't think I'm going to survive the next special 2. And so I elect to not care about the possibility of the special 3 or death immunity and just YOLO it, and it works out. So yeah, that one's tough. Taking it again in the future, gonna try and make sure that I have Jean on the team for the Power Steel synergy. Because yeah, I survived, I soloed, but that was absolutely brutal. And I would love to never do that again. Anyway, here we have Terrax also on hazard shift, so we know this is going to cost us some potions with Hood, but if we can just get to this special 2, then we should at least be doing okay here, right? And yeah, just going full aggro. Worth noting, I have the synergy on the team for bullet reloads because I am taking a lot of Hood fights this war, including one very large Zola later on that I need to have enough bullets for. So, oh, right there. There's the first of a couple times this war when I get hit despite the fact that I should definitely still have enough miss ability accuracy. Gonna have to look into that later when I have time. But yeah, that is annoying. Anyway, we move on to Maestro here, another hazard shift node. This one, though, we can use Purgatory for instead of continuing to drain Hood's health because it's hazard shift, incinerate, bleed. Purgatory is naturally immune to incinerate, and as we proved against Serpent, she is immune to bleed with the Hood synergy. So we can actually be quite aggressive here. We don't have to worry about the various hazard shifts. This is just Maestro on one eye open, so we have to be careful about stunning him. There's nothing else going on. Now, if I were really in my bag on this, I would definitely parry at least one of the hits of the special 1, like right there. The first one is one of the easiest. And then you just want to make sure you dex the end so that you can punish and go unblockable for extra damage. But I'm not being that careful. Or I'm not being that fancy, right? I'm also, I don't know, not crushing the special 1 dexes up close. I think I get hit by another one here in a minute. It is what it is. It's worth noting that in addition to it just being generally embarrassing to get hit in the face, we're losing out on quite a bit of damage from not going unblockable, because even through the glancing, every single unblockable hit does good damage, because as a reminder, both the attacker and the defender tactic are protected from ability accuracy, and so we don't care if Maestro is glancing, we're still going to be doing good damage as long as we're unblockable. So definitely would have been nice if I had been more on top of those evades, but yeah, Purgatory is great for this fight. Her high energy resistance means that even when Maestro is at his worst, she kind of ignores a lot of it, and we move along. So next up, Zola. This regen Zola is a tough fight. There are a number of different options for it. I did it earlier with Leader. I believe Bill can do it. You just have to manage the spacing, which means that that's either going to go really well or really poorly. But that is why I am using Hood here, right? Because he has really good buff control, which means you don't need regen control. And that puts him immediately ahead of a lot of the options. It just means that you have to use the invisibility as a way of knocking Zola down, right? That's your heavy opening. That's how you're going to control things here. And it works quite well. Like, it's not ideal that the Special 2 is as many hits as it is, but basically everything else about this matchup works really, really well. Even going unblockable with the tactic helps out, because normally you have trouble creating space against Zola, because hitting his block ramps him that much faster, right? But if you go unblockable, then you can do a bit better. Now, that was unfortunate right there, because I was hoping he was going to hit into my invisibility, and therefore I'd be able to land the heavy. Unfortunately, he resisted all 3 hits of it, and therefore gained 9 charges, which is why that heavy happened. I didn't even process what happened at this point in the fight when I was actually doing it. It took me watching it back to get it, but it was because those 3 resisted hits took him up to 19. Then on our next heavy, we took him over 20. He actually did cause the sleep. In the moment, it felt like he just went unstoppable at the wall, which obviously is not possible with his kit, right? So he slept us, and then the sleep was immediately removed when he hit us. So, yeah, that was unfortunate, but that's because I wasn't careful enough going for my heavies with the invisibility. So that's fine. Everything about this fight is going quite well. You can see that we have plenty of bullets because of the synergy we have. We're taking some disintegration damage, but honestly, I consider it worth it in this fight. Because sometimes the tempo just works out better if you do push him to Special 2, and that can matter because it can mean that you can control the ESB charges better, right? So everything's going pretty well. We basically, just need one more hit. So yeah, I'm going to be a little more careful if I take this again, which I probably will. That worked really well. Just to make sure that I am finding good spots for my heavy, because I hadn't really processed how bad things could get if I threw a heavy fully into block with Stand Your Ground and gave him 9 charges right away. Yeah, lesson learned, still a solo. We move on to Gladiator, right? So this is Gladiator on Bubble Shield and Power Focus 2. This is, I don't know, pretty nothing for somebody like Hood, because the staggers are going to go ahead and get us to our Special 2. See, there it is. Unfortunately, the way things worked out, it's not quite how we wanted it, and so we do get hit here before we get the Special 2 off because he went to the Special 1. Not what I wanted, but everything else is fine, right? We have the Hex up, we throw a Special 2, or a Special 3 here. It does extra damage because Gladiator has more power. We apply this bleed, that's going to help out. Unfortunately, the dumb thing about what I did there was that Gladiator wasn't yet at 2 bars of power. If you don't know this yet, the way that Special 3s interact with Power Focus nodes is that Special 3s count as a single hit. See, there was the other time I got hit when I definitely shouldn't have. But because Special 3s count as a single hit, it means that if you are still in the boosted part of the opponent's power, then they'll get the combat power rate boost for the entire Special 3, and so I was a little worried in the moment that I had sent Gladiator red, which would have been a problem. So, need to be more careful with that next time, but yeah, that fight was fine. I don't know, I think panicked a little bit when he threw the Special 1. Moving on to Hazard Shift Sersi, same basic function as the other. One of the reasons Hood is good for Conflictor is because he doesn't care about debuffs. Everything he's doing is passive. Now, a really nice aspect of this matchup that I want to shout out is that with Hood, those cold snaps are really starting to tick. The only hits he has that are going to proc Sersi's glancing buff are going to be his crits. And those are the ones that place the staggers, and the stagger takes effect before the glancing buff does, which means that it removes it. And so Hood is really, really good at dealing with her glancing. You basically just have to avoid her throwing a heavy, and everything else works out. Also, notice at the end there, for the last special one punish, I did what I prefer to do against Sersi in this tactic, which is dash in and just block the last hit. You can dash in Dex. If you're really comfortable with that, by all means, go for it. I don't care. But I think for a lot of people, if you're even a little bit off on that slow projectile at the end, it can hit you and stun you, and then the fight can go south very quickly. So my recommendation is block that last hit, then punish. If you are using one of the counters for Sersi you probably should be using, as in somebody who has buff control, then she won't be unblockable at that point, and then you can safely punish. She has enough of a recovery window that you're good to go, and you'll get your own unblockable. But yeah, this was a big war. Very glad that I have a rank 3 Hood. He is putting in work. Purgatory worked for that Serpent, but like I said, we're going to be looking at some different things. It's a tough placement, and is probably just going to get tougher, so good to have at least one run under my belt. Anyways, hope y'all enjoyed this one. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and take care.